In the late 90s, Stella Osammor wrote a book that was hugely successful. It's still a very successful novel till date. But that novel was selected as a must-read novel for JAMB and other important examinations in Nigeria. She joined us to read from her book. More importantly, she joined us to have a conversation about her life, her writing, and her novel, The Triumph of the Water Lily. But today, enjoy the reading and look out for the interview next week.
My name is Stella Osammor, and I am the author of the book, The Triumph of the Water Lily. This book was written 30 years ago, and it was used by Nigeria's Joint Admission Matriculation Board as an examination text into various Nigerian universities. The Triumph of the Water Lily has been dubbed a pathfinder guide for people who want to survive and emerge triumphant in the face of the threat of annihilation and the great odds and difficulties that come to each and every one of us sometime in our life. And the education authorities, even in Britain, had Triumph of the Water Lily in their libraries, and they stocked it in categories of books that could not be renewed because there was a great demand for the text. The bit I am about to read from the text talks about the strategy the protagonist Nkem evolved to protect the symbiotic relationship she had with Odili, her husband. The marriage and the relationship was characterized by a beautiful symbiosis that made the two of them extremely happy, in spite of the fact that Nkem was barren and they were struggling and desperate to have children bless their wedlock. And so she's explaining to Efua how she had to move away from their matrimonial home so as to avoid the poison and the animosity she was experiencing from her husband's family as a consequence of not being able to give him an offspring. If I had to move out of Odili's home so as to preserve and keep as strong as I could the love that I share with my husband. I know it sounds paradoxical or ironic that one has to keep away from one's beloved so as to be able to continue loving him the way I do love Odili. But you see, the circumstances we found ourselves are unusual, Efua. And so we've had to devise ingenious steps to remedy the situation. Now, I have created a vacancy in Odili's home by moving out. His family, especially his stepmother, will now leave us in peace. Odili and I can now go ahead with the task of fulfilling each other's emotional needs. I sincerely love my husband, Efua. Nkem continued to say to me in a quiet and pensive voice. Odili means so much to me. I've never felt this way about another human being. Nonetheless, I don't mind sharing him with another woman if it is for the purpose of satisfying an important need such as childbearing, a need which society deems as fundamental, quote and unquote, and one which must be satisfied if they are to regard Odili as successful. Up to date, I haven't been able to fulfill this need, Nkem said with a sigh, and it remains to be seen if I'll be able to in the future. I have come to terms with this limitation, and I do thank God for that. I have also decided to embrace the idea of becoming Odili's mistress, and believe me, I'm beginning to enjoy it. What with the independence and peace of mind that goes with it? How did his family actually react to all this I had. Odili's family were stunned, his stepmother in particular. She had on one occasion hinted to me that the family would want Odili to take a second wife, and they wanted my cooperation. The stepmother assured me that they would in turn ensure that I remain the highly respected Mem Shahib Shikim Zayama at the moment. But I didn't tell Odili anything about this conversation I had with his stepmother. I knew he would react with outrage as he always did. Whenever they broached the subject of his taking a second wife, he was always irate. However, that discussion was what set me thinking.
And this is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be very delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. Send us your questions, your criticisms, we'll be happy to respond to whatever it is you want us to respond to. It's always exciting for us to read everything that you send to us every week. This is where we draw curtains on this episode. My name is Olakunle Kasomo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.